So as we hop into the build, what we're going to be running is we're going to run Reap, Bloodsurge, Corpse Explosion, Blood Mist, Corpse Tendrils, and finally Bone Prison. When we look at Book of the Dead, first of all, we want to sacrifice these Skeletal Skirmishers. Sacrificing the Skeletal Skirmishers is going to increase our critical strike chance. Sacrificing the Skeleton Mages is going to increase our overpower damage by quite a bit. 25% is pretty nice. And finally, sacrificing that Blood Golem is going to give us 10% extra health, which is great because that not only impacts our survivability, but also impacts the amount of damage we do due to our overpower scaling our damage. Now, when it comes to the aspects here, you don't really need these, especially as you're leveling up. I wouldn't really consider it until you're heading into that capstone dungeon, transitioning into World Tier 3. You might want to grab some of these walking in, mainly the offensive aspects, make sure you're able to down the boss pretty easily. As we move into the offensive aspects, this one is more important than all the other ones in particular. This makes Corpse Tendrils a huge cooldown that's going to make us do a ton of damage after we use it. I definitely suggest picking this one up if you're going to pick up any aspects. But once again, it's not really necessary, especially as you level up. So no rush on that. Now, when we talk about the other offensive aspects, these are pretty obvious. Wrathmas Chosen is going to give us more blood surges by increasing our attack speed. And then the Echo Cast of the blood-bathed aspect is going to be really nice as well. Our utility and resource aspects, we're going to start with Wind Strider Aspect. This is just going to be great to give us some more movement speed. Again, we're playing Necromancer, so we're not the fastest class. Well, we're actually the slowest class. So any kind of movement speed is really going to help here. Umbral's going to proc as we grip enemies in using our Corpse Tendrils. And we'll be doing this on cooldown to double dip on that damage, but also get resource back for the next Blood Surge. And then Potent Blood is going to be amazing, especially once we start really working with Blood Orbs as we approach getting Wrathmas Vigor. We'll talk more about that when we go into the skill tree. For gems, we really love rubies. We're going to get 24% extra overpower damage by putting it in our weapon. For armor, again, we love ruby. Rubies is going to give us more max health, which is a defensive and offensive stat for us because our overpower damage is going to scale off of our max health. So definitely a good one. Max health is really important. When we talk about our jewelry, there's two choices here. We have the skull here because if we are in need of armor, if we find ourselves dying to physical damage a lot, we're going to pick up skulls here. And if we're okay on physical damage and we're dying to more magic related stuff, then we want to pick up diamonds. Diamonds are going to increase our resist all. We want to keep resist all capped, especially with season 2. They really made resistances way more important. So we want to make sure we're capping our resistances as we move into more difficult content. So just keep in mind, you have a switch option here based on what you're dying to most. Now let's talk about the seasonal feature. We have 2 guiding stones. We're going to run Gyrate and Protect. Gyrate is going to turn your little construct into a whirlwinding barbarian at your side. And then Protect is going to give you a shield based on your max health. And again, our max health is going to be immense because we're stacking that for our damage. Now, within each of those guiding stones, we're going to attach 3 support gems or 3 tuning stones to each of those to change how they function. Starting with Gyrate, we're going to pick up Gripping Support, which is going to make it so that the spin is going to pull enemies in as it spins on the enemies, which is going to help pull them in close so we can do our Blood Surge. Slowing Support is going to help us because we're going to get more damage from CC'd enemies. We're going to get CC damage and then also vulnerable damage as well. So this one's pretty natural for just always giving us a way of doing more damage to CC targets. Voluminous is going to increase the area of effect of the spin. So this is going to make it so the spin is reaching out farther, which means it's going to grip more targets because it's able to reach farther to pull them when it touches them with its gyrate ability. All right, moving on to Protect. Duration support is going to make that shield last longer on you. +4 to all skills with Evernight is really nice. Anytime you have that shield on, you're going to get more. It's just going to make all of your skills do way better with +4. And Fortify support is going to help us stack our Fortify a little bit better. Again, we're doing an overpower build, so it will definitely help in this regard. Now, as we move into the skill tree, I'm not going to prescribe this for you point by point because that's what this over here, that's what the build path is for over here. Go ahead and take a look. I'm linking my guide in the description below where you can actually see level by level what you should be taking. But let's talk about a couple things. So Reap, we're going to spec into Reaping Swing, which is going to create a corpse for us when we attack. The reason for that is that our combo is going to be Reap, and then on the corpse it creates, we're going to cast Corpse Tendrils, which will grip in all the enemies, and then Blood Surge after our Corpse Tendrils, after our Grasping Veins is procced from our Corpse Tendrils. I want to talk to you about one adjustment you want to make and when you want to make it. Once we pick up Rathmus Vigor, there's going to be two changes you want to make to this build. You're going to want to spec into, instead of Plagued Corpse Tendrils, you're going to want to spec into Blighted Corpse Tendrils, because we're trying to, at that point, get as many blood orbs as we can so we can reset Rathmus Vigor as fast as possible. But before then, the vulnerability damage is really nice, and it makes it so you don't need to cast your Bone Prison all the time to be able to benefit from vulnerability damage. So this is just kind of a choice I like to make. I like to spec into the vulnerability damage early, and then I would like to hard switch over into the Blighted Corpse Tendrils once I have Rathmus Vigor, so that I'm able to reset my Rathmus Vigor chart a lot faster. All right, now we're getting into the Paragon board. Let's just go out through all of the rare glyphs you want to have. First, Blood Drinker. You want to be able to have this because it's going to help you with fortifying after you pick up your blood orbs. Dominate's wonderful because we're going to be overpowering pretty frequently. It's the majority of our damage. This is going to make our next overpower do a lot more damage as well. Next, Control is really nice because remember, our Seneschal is going to be spinning and slowing enemies, which is going to get us that crowd control effect, but also when we grip enemies in and they get stunned with Grasping or Corpse Tendrils and then Grasping Veins procs, we're going to be doing a lot more damage to them because we just CC'd them. Sacrificial here is really nice because, again, we are doing a sacrifice build. We're not going to have any minions. And finally, Territorial is going to help us because we are always going to be doing close damage and we're always going to be receiving close damage because we're up in the fray. We're gripping enemies in and we're doing damage immediately around us. So close effects are going to be mainly what we're dealing with. Let's talk legendary nodes. There's not a whole lot of them, but one for sure that we want is Bloodbath. 35% increased overpower damage. Yeah, it makes sense why we want this, right? And next, we're going to be dealing a lot with blood orbs. We're going to be picking them up and using them to reset our Rathmus Vigor. So this is going to be supremely helpful. Scent of Death is going to have an oscillating effect based on if there is or isn't corpses around us. As we consume them, we're going to get the other effect, and as we create them, we'll get the other effect. So it's really going to be a nice thing either way. Just having this 15% bonus applied no matter which direction it's swinging is going to be fantastic. As we move forward, I'll release a follow-up guide that's going to talk about the transitionary things we want to do once we start finding uniques, which ones we want to apply, and how to take on the late game challenges that come with Season 3. I wish you all the best for your start in Season 3. And hey, if Necromancer's not your thing and you're looking at maybe doing a Barbarian, I have a build in the description below that goes over how we can really haul ass with the new Charge buffs. Charge got a massive buff and Barbarians are looking super good. Not only that, it's a completely new build that hasn't been really in the meta at all, period. It's gone from D tier off meta build to S tier meta build when it comes to Charge. I'm really excited to see how the Barbarian's going to perform. If you're also wanting to check that out, that link is in the description. And of course, down below, the bloodsurge guide is linked in the description if you want to take a look at it as well. All right, everyone, if the video did help you out today, please heroic strike that like button. If you want to stay tuned for more Diablo content in the future, please bash the subscribe. I appreciate your time and I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.